Just a little sodium chloride.
Actually, dude, it's salt.
That's what I said.
You know, Jimmy, while I can't say that you have never been responsible for helping out the town, you also created or influenced the vast majority of major threats in the first place. The Yokians only came to Retroville because of your signal. The same goes for Meldar Prime. The nanobots, Shirley, and Evil Jimmy were all your creations. You caused the Ice Age. You created the sentient pants. You made the sick patch, you turned your teacher into a 50-foot monstrosity, and you injured Santa Claus, almost ruining Christmas. The vast majority of this town's problems are caused, at least indirectly, by you. And you know what? In all honesty, that would be fine. You are very intelligent and you almost always do fix it, and in the end it's extremely unlikely that you won't end up benefiting the world a lot more than you will damage it. My children and my children's children are probably going to live in a world free of war and disease, and I'll have you to thank for that. But fuck, dude. You can't keep using your intelligence as a way to escape your humanity. I didn't ask you to say salt because I thought a customer would seriously care or because I was insecure. I did it because it made you look weird and I was trying to get you to adopt behaviors and use language that makes you come across like a normal fucking person. Everyone knows what sodium chloride is, but calling it that outside the context of a chemistry class makes you seem like someone who defines themselves solely by their intelligence, which is undeniably who you are. I know you think that there's nothing wrong with being that person, dude, but there is. Taking your IQ and deciding that it elevates you above the rest of the planet is an awful decision that will lead to a life filled with misery and alienation. It will color every interaction you ever have and make it impossible to have real friends or relationships. I'm not saying that you won't have any. But they won't hold any meaning to you, and they certainly won't bring you any happiness. Sure, you'll probably manage a pity fuck or two your sophomore year of college after giving some drunk sorority girl a jetpack ride, but it'll bring you nothing but emptiness. Maybe you'll eventually abandon women altogether and decide that your true love is science, secretly seething inside whenever you see a guy like Nick or Bulbi getting married to someone he really cares about, who cares about him. You'll say I'm exaggerating, but dude, look at how you treat the people in your life now. Carl and Sheen, quirks aside, really do see you as a friend, and they'd go through some serious shit if it meant helping you out of a scrape. Can you say that you see them the same way, as anything other than the only two kids your age willing to put up with your ridiculous ego? What have you ever done for them? Inventing doesn't count, dude. Even when you build something for someone else, you're really doing that for you. Every Lamabot or Ultra Lord simulator is only created with the expectation of further praise. They're not friends to you. They're worshippers. And your parents? Lord, the way you treat them. You think I've got folks that care about me the way your mom and dad do, working in a shithole like this? I wish. Every day your dad watches you scarf down the dinner your mom slaved to make for you and prays that you might think about spending some fucking time with him instead of disappearing into your lab to do God knows what. They watch you toy with dimensional warping science that they can't wrap their minds around on a daily basis and you laugh at them for worrying about you. Have you ever played catch with your dad, Jimmy? Ever asked him how his day at work was? You don't have a clue what I'd do for a dad like yours in my life, dude. What about your mom? Why not invent something that'll make her life easier instead of gollyvanting around the Bermuda Triangle to play with fucking seaweed? We both know the reason. She would thank you for it. She'd be happy to imagine a version of you that thought for an instant about the needs of another person, but she wouldn't call you the greatest thing in the universe for it like your friends do. And in Neutron's world, whoever doesn't do that might as well not exist. Ignore me if you want. Keep going the way you're going, and I'll see you in 30 years, lugging around 16 Nobel Prizes in your pockets as if they could substitute for a lifetime's worth of human love and interaction. You've always mocked Calamitous for his inability to finish what he started, but the man had a wife and a daughter that tolerated him enough to want to stay in his life through everything, and at the rate you're going I'd be amazed if you could manage the same with Goddard. The rest of Retroville, Jimmy, they'll never be able to do what you do. They'll never be able to invent rockets or solve cold fusion or add 3 numbers together. But they will find genuine friendship and love, and they will call it salt, and despite everything you accomplish you'll only be remembered as nothing more than the man who wouldn't. Who couldn't, perhaps. Get out, dude. You're fired. Big McThankies from McSpankies.
Quite the contrary, Skeet. You talk down to me like I'm some sociopathic monster for the way I act, but you haven't lived even 1 minute in my shoes. I'm smart enough to invent robots out of toasters and even a rocket ship out of an amusement park ride, sure, but I'm also still 11 years old. Any 11-year-old, no, any person would want to feel like something they feel confident in is worthy of praise and admiration to even the smallest degree. When you were my age, did you not talk for long periods about even the smallest of accomplishments, just hoping for someone to say so much as a good job for it? Every time I invent something, I do it because it's what makes me happy, and I want to feel like the people around me might appreciate it too, and just reward me with a simple acknowledgement that I can be special, that I don't have to limit myself or my ambitions just to be appreciated. That I can earn them by doing the thing I feel best suits me. Yet, I still have to go to the same school as everyone else my age, even if what I learn there doesn't stimulate my mind. Everyone moans and groans when I show them something that I dedicated my time to, yet I have to pretend it doesn't get to me when they just as easily cheer for something as simple as Nick telling a ghost story in class, or Cindy pulling a childish prank on me. Of course I understand that what interests me is not the same as what interests them, but I don't want to feel like an alien in my own town, never understood by even my own parents. I tried to invent things for them, like orange juice squeezers or window washers, but they just awkwardly smile and lament the fact that now they have to get a new toaster instead. Maybe it's selfish to want people to treat me like my gifts means even the slightest bit of anything to them, but again, let me inquire just what 11-year-old wouldn't want that. And you know what? Sometimes I do get that. Sometimes I can invent something everyone in the town thinks is the greatest thing since sliced bread, but you know what? Science isn't a guaranteed process. There's bound to be miscalculations and flaws and margins of errors in any experiment, as mine typically have. But suddenly, I'm the bad guy all because I wanted to cool down the heat on a summer's day, and the town gets stuck in an ice age. You think I planned for that to happen? No, but it's the risk that comes from creating something. It can always backfire in some way. But the town doesn't care if I've done good deeds for them, or if I invented something they themselves loved just as much as I did. They just care that it didn't work out 100% perfectly, and then I'm back to being ridiculed for the things I find passion in. I don't blame them to be upset, sure, but this cycle gets tiring time and time again. For once, I just want to hold one conversation with someone that actually keeps me invested, instead of always having to keep my mouth shut to hear yet again about the 100 millionth episode of Ultra Lord, or about every single species of duck in existence. I listen, I smile, and I even engage the conversation as best I can, and I think that's the most a guy can do, talking to his friends and family about things he finds little interest in. But the second I want to show off something that I like or talk about something that interests me, I don't even get a courteous MHM and nod while I talk. Instead they just immediately ask me to talk in English instead or compromise what I want to talk about, even though I never ask that of them, and their topics of interest. And, you know what, that would be fine. All of that could be fine on its own if I wasn't then instead mocked and ridiculed for being me. I know everyone gets bullied at my age at some point, but at least many of them have the option go off with their friends who share common interests and feel validated for it. Imagine being treated like a total loser just because you can't play baseball or run track, only to suddenly be treated like an egomaniac when you show off what you can do better than them. For some reason, I'm immediately invalidated as a someone worthy of respect the second I'm not good at something, and everyone conveniently forgets whatever cool invention I was able to create a literal week before. So not only are my inventions ignored and treated like bragging or a nuisance when they do get public attention, they also become completely forgotten the second that they don't. I'm sorry that I just wanted to be treated like I was special for something I cared about. I only took this job so I could keep following my passions, as I'm certain you've done just as well. Don't forget you've hired people that aren't even old enough to legally work in this country, yet still choose to berate me for oversights I made throughout. I didn't know that it was an issue to not push the buttons on the register to confirm an order, and I apologize for not having done so in the first place. But you also threw us kids into a job with little training, and even told me just from a glance that I'm not good enough to work for you. You even talked badly about me to my own friends about my performance, who you may have noticed didn't even bother defending me. That just goes to prove how little any of you take the time to actually understand my feelings, or even stop to ask yourselves why I might try to show off for a little attention so much. Instead you immediately judge me like everyone else, and I'm sick of having to sit around and just take it. Give me my pink slip. I don't need to sit around and listen to you berate me, like everyone else in my life has done time and time again. I don't want to change who I am just because it might make you think less of me. I want to feel like I can be proud of who and what I am. I'm not giving up on the one thing that makes me feel special, and gives me joy just because everyone else thinks it's annoying. And if that is enough to make everyone hate me, maybe I never needed your conditional love and respect in the first place. Got a blast.